Hi everyone, it's YC here from YC Cooks and Bakes. Today, I am going to bring you a story time. I'm going to tell you a couple different stories that have happened in my life. And, we all have all kinds of stories. But I thought with the change of the season going from winter into spring, you can see it slowly happening here and there across the country. I thought I would bring you a story of how, you know, animals and critters and different things get on the move and go to different habitats different times of the year. Just like we do things different certain times of the year, we'll plant a garden, or maybe you'll freshly paint the house, or whatever the case may be. We do different things too. Well, so do insects and animals and amphibians and all that. So I figured I would bring you a story time today of something that happened to me years ago. And I thought that would be fun to do. And at the front of this video, you will see a photo of my lunch, and that it's only 290 calories, and it's very, very filling, and it's really good. And I thought I would share that with you in case you wanted a low calorie but filling lunch. And the Frank I have in that video is a Hebrew National, in case you are wondering. And the cheese is Swiss cheese. Okay, so first of all, if you hear the United States Air Force, they're just doing their sorties today. That's their practice runs. And if you see this, the flag, that belongs to my father-in-law, who did 44 years in the United States Air Force, and that we are so very, very proud of him. And that's what that is. Um, also, this is, hang on one second. Okay, so that's the other thing. If you hear some clicking going on, like some tin noises, I am sitting by my kerosene heater, and you know how it'll make those metal noises, ting ting. That's what that is, because I'm trying to keep warm, because it's a little bit of a cool morning before the temperatures rise. Okay. Anyway, let me set the scene for my story. This is back in, let's see, kind of like the late 90s, when the Clinton administration was in office. And there was lots of funding for people to get into housing. It's before all of the scams, Fannie Mae and all of that happened in the news, where homes were sold out from under people and all that. We were one of the families of the hundreds and hundreds that had happened to. But we had got, in the Clinton administration, we had gotten into a beautiful home that we picked out the design for. And we had two boys at the time. And I was pregnant with my third and didn't know it. I was pregnant with my third son. And anyway, beautiful house. We picked out a fireplace, everything. Real nice. And we had what they call a huge lot. We lived on a cul-de-sac, but we were one of the ones on the circle. So our property was, big like a piece of pie. And then the tip of the pie was our front yard, and it just opened up into a great big wide backyard like a piece of pie. It was a lot of property. The land was sold to the county by or from the Merida bread people. Now, the Merida bread people lived there years and years ago. And it stated that in the story that their house had actually burnt down. Well, when you walked to the back of our yard, you could see in the woods their house that had burnt down. And all that was left was the brick chimney and the hearth, and you could see like a few feet away was their brick veranda and porch and everything. And it said that the Marita bread lady, she liked primroses. Well, primrose roses were everywhere when you walked to the back of my yard, just all wound around the Carolina pines, wound around oak trees. There was primroses everywhere, and you could smell it. It was so fragrant. It was just beautiful. And also all kinds of muscadine grapes. We had all the muscadine grapes that we wanted. It was fantastic. And a lot of blackberries. And so, where there's muscadine grapes and blackberries and things like the whole back of our yard was this. Uh, you know, there's going to be snakes around berries. You know that. But they never bothered us. We didn't care. We had our lawn was beautiful, and we had it rolled, with those big heavy rollers. It was nice and flat. We got the farmland real flat and grew beautiful lawn on it. And then we had a beautiful vegetable garden off to the left side of it. And it was nice. It was a real nice piece of property. We put in my husband bought me a Canadian maple for the back and a Japanese maple for the front yard. And just really beautiful area. And anyway, uh, my boys were very, very active. This is when my first two boys were young, and they were extremely active in from one thing to another, just steady going all day long, all day long. And I was exhausted by this point because, I still had to keep up with cleaning and dishes and laundry and making meals and grocery shopping and you name it, mopping floors and making sure that our new home stayed beautiful. The only thing that was wrong with that house was they didn't have screen doors. So the front door was a great big wooden door, and when it shut, it shut. And the back door, and we did have a security system, by the way, but with a back door, didn't have a screen door, which a lot of back doors do. This one did not, and we were planning on getting one before you go out on the patio. But uh, the our carpet was not a big thick carpet. It was one of those really low grade tight knit carpets, and uh, the door didn't quite meet the concrete pavement and that carpet. And there was like a little rubber piece, but it wasn't quite long enough to go all the way flat to the ground. And so stuff could get in very easily. And we saw that and knew that and thought, okay, we're going to get something for that and make sure we close that off so that doesn't happen. You want to get one of those rubber strips or whatever the case may be. Well, before we were able to do that, I was home one night with my boys. My husband didn't get off from second shift till about 11:30 at night. I put the boys to sleep, and I went and sat. We had like an L-shaped couch, and I often would watch our fireplace. Our fireplace had an inlet above it because it was gas. It would hook up outside to like a tank, so the TV could go actually inset in the wall above it, and that's how it was set up. And but I decided I didn't want to watch TV. I was just exhausted. And so I sat down on that L shaped couch and I just put my head back. But you know how you're still, when you have boys and you just put them to bed, you're still kind of awake, but you're resting, you're exhausted, your legs hurt from the day, you've just done enough work. And I put my head back and I was resting comfortably. It was, I just had had enough. I was tuckered out waiting on my husband to come home. Well, I felt something come over my foot. And I was so relaxed and tired. I wasn't jumpy or startled or anything. I felt something go over my foot. And then I'm still laying back with my head back because I'm still keeping an ear out for the boys, and I'm just almost falling into a sleep. And then something goes over my other foot, and this was a continual. It was like it would go over my foot and then go over this foot, and it was continual. And anyway, this sense of calm came over me that has never come over me before to this magnitude. It was like I really felt relaxed, more relaxed than I have ever felt in my life. I almost can't explain it. And this went on for quite some time, stuff going over my feet. And I even told my husband about it when he got home. I said, there was something that went over my feet, or like somebody was rubbing my feet or something. I don't understand it from right to left. And he says, I don't know. He says, you were probably dreaming. You were dreaming. I was like, okay. So we chalked it up, never thought any more about it. Well, comes to find out as time marched forward, found out I was pregnant with my third child. And so we thought, well, we'll move, right? Um, and when we would decided to move, we would decide, as you do, you would decide what you're going to keep, what you're not going to keep. And one of our neighbors had come over, and may he rest in peace because he has passed on. A lot younger than my husband and I, though. But he said, you know what? He said, can I have that lamp in the corner of your living room? And I thought, yeah, I don't want it because it was always so heavy for me. I could never lift it anyway to do the vacuuming and all that. And I don't really want that floor lamp. So just, you could take it. It's yours. Because he always wanted one. And so he went to pick it up. He says, this thing is heavy. He said, I'll take the top part of it off first, then I'll just grab the bottom part. I said, sure, whatever you need to do, you know. So he unhooked the top part and the little lamp part that went over, and it was gold, like brass or something. I don't know what it was made of. And he picked up the bottom part, which was like looked like a round golden plate, but it went in and then it would go in again and then in again. It was like all, shiny and gold. And it had different levels of roundness to it. You might have seen that type before. And there was a great big little like hole where the electrical cord would go in and up through the piping of it, and then turn on the lamp, right, with the little switch. He turned it over and he says, whoa. He said, look at what's inside here. And I was like, what, a toy? Because I was always finding my boys had toys everywhere, right? So every time I would find something or move the couch or something, it'd be toys, a toy here, a toy there, right? No. He said, he said, you are lucky that you weren't in here when this thing came in here. And I said, what is in there? He says, it's a copperhead. This thing could have killed you. And I said, really? And I said, a copperhead. And he showed me, he tipped the thing over. It was quite heavy and coiled in there, like, because there was several different levels. It had coiled in there and apparently couldn't coil backwards to get out that same hole. And it was heavy enough that it kept it down in there, and it had dried up. It was it was really dry. Like if you touch it, it was like crispy dry. It had been in there for who knows how many months, right? It was like one of those, like dried onions, the kind like that, or fried dried onions like you put on a casserole, like the green bean casserole. It was a crispy critter, let me tell you. But you could tell by the colors, the gray and the white and the bright orange, and that it was in fact a copperhead. And it was a pretty big one. And it hit me all of a sudden. I realized what it was. It was a copperhead snake. And apparently, I was just still enough that there was no problems with it going over my feet. None. I am very lucky. I could have died. I could have had to go to the hospital that night. Nothing, not a scratch on me. And it just went over my feet. And it's a good thing. Like my heartbeat never really increased. A sense of calm came over me. That has never come over me like that before. So I don't know if that's an angel, if the good Lord was with me. I never felt so calm before. And I don't think it was my time to go. But that copperhead could have killed me. And I know that's what it was. I there's no mistake about that now. That is the only thing, because I was right on that part of the couch where the lamp was right behind that. And it went over my feet under the couch and right in that hole of the lamp and coiled itself in there. So that's, oh, I really escaped death that time, let me tell you. I still think about that. And I thought, I wonder if ever I could pull that off again, you know? I don't know. Another time though, that darn back door that we didn't fix the bottom of. Or it's either they didn't lower it enough or they didn't cut it right or something, but it should have went, flush with the flooring and it didn't. Um, but spiders would come in all the time. Grass spiders, great big grass spiders. And it was horrifying to see them. Excuse me, it wasn't like a spider you see. When I used to get see spiders up in Canada, like in my room, I couldn't sleep. Like, oh, Dad, there's a spider way up there in the corner. Yeah, and he's like, oh, okay, he'd get a piece of tissue and kill it. Those were nothing. I wouldn't even flinch at those now. Those are like whatever. Now they're this big, huge. Well, my oldest son, who was young at the time, uh, just new in grade school, he thought it was great. He thought, well, oh, it's a big spider. And he wasn't afraid to touch anything. I mean, they would pick up snakes. They weren't afraid to touch anything. They would pick up bugs and you name it, skinks, all that kind of stuff. Well, he picked it up. And I was like, don't pick it up. I said, are you crazy? What are you doing? And he thought it was great. He thought it was hilarious at how scared Mommy was to seeing this great big huge spider that had come in that night. This wasn't, the same night. This was like who knows what night, right? Either before the snake or after it. I don't even remember at this point. But it was one of those nights where something come in. And he never saw me get so upset and so horrified. And he thought that was fantastic. So you know what he did with that great big spider? He threw it on me. Yes. I mean, I jumped up. I went flying all across that house, screaming like you wouldn't believe, just constantly going like this. And oh, you should have seen me. It was a sight. And the more I did that, the more he laughed. And he thought it was hilarious. It wasn't. It was not fun. He knows now that he's older that that's horrifying. He never would do that again. But at the time when he was a little boy, he thought that was just the best thing since peanut butter. Anyway, those are two stories that happened to me living at that house during the Clinton administration. And I thought I would share those with you that make you think about something that happened to you like that when the seasons were changing and things were off and on their own little routes and give you something to think about or maybe share with people. But yeah, that was really that was something. And there's a lot more stories in that house too. Uh, but those are two of them that I have decided to share with you today. And I thought that would be fun for you. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend ahead. And I hope everybody has a great day and a safe day with no critters coming in your back door. Bye bye.